We are very excited about this interview. We've been thinking about it for a long time, and somebody obviously everyone is following. She's the former governor of South Carolina, former UN ambassador, and now candidate for president of the United States, Nikki Haley. Welcome.
Great to be with you guys. Thanks so much.
Oh, man, this is so exciting. So this is like the first announced candidate interview that we're doing. We're going to try to do everybody.
Well, it's the only one that matters. I mean, let's be clear. It's the only one that matters.
Perfect. Well, thank you for the endorsement on that. But this is exciting. You're off and running. And, I mean, you've been everywhere. I mean, it's just incredible how much ground you cover.
And look, I didn't need to wait. I don't know what everybody else is waiting on. If you know you're going to do it, you jump in, you do it. You do whatever it takes to finish it, and that's what we're doing. I didn't care who else was getting in. I don't care all the other environmental things people are worried about. You know, I know that I can fix this country, and I'm a problem solver by nature. I'm a 2-term governor that took a failed double-digit unemployment state and made it an economic powerhouse. I went to the UN and didn't deal with one country, but 192 of them, and took the kick me sign off of our back. So now I see a country that's in disarray. It's time to fix it, and I'm going to do it.
I love it. I was going to ask for your thesis statement off the top, but I feel like we just got it.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong elevator speech right there.
It's pretty good. You've got it tuned up. That's terrific. But look, I mean, obviously you knew that you wanted to do this. You felt like it was the right time, given all the challenges that we're experiencing throughout the country. Give us the elevator pitch on you, who you are, where you came from, how this moment in time fits you perfectly.
You know, I was born and raised in a small rural town in South Carolina. I'm the daughter of Indian immigrants. We were the only Indian family in that small southern town. They didn't know who we were, what we were, or why we were there. And I remember when I would get teased on the playground, my mom would say, your job is not to show them how you're different. Your job is to show them how you're similar. We need to see more of that now, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing that lesson on the playground played throughout my life, whether it was in the corporate world, as governor, as ambassadors. When you have a problem, if you first talk about the things you agree on, then you can get on with the solution. And so growing up that way, I also saw the pride that my parents had in being here. They came here over 50 years ago. They came to an America that was strong and confident and full of opportunities. And we take care of my parents. They live with us now. They're sad to see what's happened.
Your parents in your house?
Yes, we take care of them. They're 86 and 89.
Oh, that's terrific. Yes. That's so sweet.
But
Are they like, Nikki, why you're never home?
They watch a lot of TV now to see me. So
right.
But, you know, I mean, I want to prove to them that they made a good decision. Then you go and you look, I'm the wife of a combat veteran. He served in Afghanistan. I know the sacrifice that goes into protecting our freedoms. I'm the mom of a daughter. She's getting married. I see how hard it is for them to afford a home. My son is in college, and I see he's having to write papers he doesn't agree with to get an A. None of that's okay. And I just saw that 50% of Americans don't think that their kids are going to have a better life than they did. We can't live like that. That's not okay. And so, look, it's time to get in there and fix it. There is no shortage of issues. There's no shortage of problems. But America needs to stop complaining and whining about it, and let's get to work and do something. It's time.
Yeah. Well, look, that's compelling as all get out. One of the things about your announcement that I thought was really striking, I thought terrific, is the way you frame things in terms of generational change, right? There's an awful lot of our listeners who've, we've been dealing with baby boomer rulers here since the Bill Clinton administration, right? It's with the exception of Barack Obama, I guess, by a couple of years, we basically had one generation at the top of the leadership structure of the United States for a long time. That sort of appealed not only to us, I think a lot of our listeners, but I think it's sort of a core argument that not only is an explicit criticism of the current president of the United States, but also, it's a little bit implicit on the former president of the United States.
Look at D.C., right?
Yeah.
There's one thing you see all across the board. I don't think you have to be 80 years old to be in D.C. I mean, I think we need term limits. I'm not being disrespectful when I say we need mental competency tests for people over the age of 75. Fine, do it for people over the age of 50. But when you've got them making these decisions on national security and the debt and things that matter, we need to know that people are at the top of their game. And I think that it's important that we have fresh faces and fresh voices. The issues that we have today are not the issues they had decades decades ago. So you need new generational change that understands today's problems and also knows, look, I mean, I've busted the status quo everywhere I've been. I defeated a longest serving legislator in South Carolina when I ran for the state house.
Yeah,
I ran
everybody
against four people, popular people in South Carolina for governor, and busted that up. When I went to the UN, people said I didn't have the experience, and I got to work. What I think is really important is you've got to have somebody that's got the energy, the drive, and the ability to fix things. Not talk about it. There's enough of that in D.C. Let's go fix it. And we need to light a fire under everybody else in D.C. to do that too. And I've never held elected office in D.C., but I think we need somebody that can come in there and say, look, I've been a governor. I know what it means to fix things. I've been an ambassador. I know what it means to get other countries to take notice. Why can't we do that in D.C.? The American people deserve better. They deserve better. And the younger generation, they're going to be the generation that fixes everything. But we've got to give them a country to believe in. We've got to give them a country to be proud of. And right now, this national self-loathing, it's killing us.
Totally.
We can't have that anymore.
Totally agree. People forget, I'm glad you brought up sort of your rise, your political rise, which I imagine at some level, there are some evenings that you sit back and you're like, I'm actually a candidate for president of the United States, right? Because, I mean...
I haven't had that moment yet.
No?
I really haven't had that moment, no.
Because look, the country was first introduced to you as a governor, and you were this sort of spectacular success that everybody was like, wow, look at South Carolina, look what's happening here. Look at this young, extremely energetic, and got things done, and was kind of a new face to the party. And the trajectory of that was, pretty steep. Right? Because, like you said, you were a state legislator, and all of a sudden, now you're sort of a national star. Was there ever a moment that you're kind of like, wow, this is a lot?
No, because I think that when you go into service, you see a problem and you fix it. And that's where you get the benefit, is it's lifting up everybody, not just a certain few. A lot of people don't realize we had thousands of people on welfare in South Carolina when I came in.
Yeah.
I went to them and I got with my businesses and I said, I want you to train this person for X weeks. I'll pay for it. But after those, you decide whether you're going to hire them. We moved 20,000 people from welfare to work.
Wow.
When we had our prison system, I went in there and studied the prison system to say, why is this happening and what happens when they leave? I went in there and put family planning in there. We taught them how to do a house budget. We taught them how to do a resume. And I got equipment from companies and put it behind the fence and trained them. Now in South Carolina, when someone leaves the fence, they've got a job the next day. We have the lowest recidivism rate in the country.
Wow.
The focus is lifting up everybody. And don't forget, Republicans have lost the last 7 out of 8 popular votes for president.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we want better than that? Shouldn't we want to win the majority of Americans?
Yeah.
Why aren't we fighting for that? Because our solutions are the right ones, but we're not communicating it properly. Let's get everybody invested in wanting to see a better America. We can do that, and I think together we will do that.
I'll say this. So I have family in South Carolina, and half of them are Democrats, yet they always voted for you.
What part?
Columbia. They're in Columbia.
Okay, good, yeah.
One thing that they
you have
mentioned...
Democrat family, Smug?
I do. It's tough at times,
How dare
especially
you?
on the
Doesn't
holidays.
surprise me.
But during your terms as governor, it was a marked change in South Carolina. It went from extremely tough times, challenging times, and then now you see, BMW builds a factory there. I think Boeing's got a large, significant footprint in the state. What would you say is your marquee accomplishment during your time as governor?
I knew if you gave a person a job, you took care of a family. And we had a lot of families to take care of. And we did have double-digit unemployment rate. And I didn't want to go to other states and steal companies. I wanted to make things in America. And so I wanted South Carolinians to be confident again. So I started recruiting. I told every agency, if you're costing a person or a business time, you're costing them money, and that's no longer acceptable in South Carolina. When we recruited and I took companies from overseas, we came and on their site, I had one person on their site that dealt nothing with county, state, any regulations and anything to keep those things moving so that they didn't feel it. We sent people from our tech schools overseas to learn how they trained, what they did, and I had them teach my South Carolinians. And I had 2 rules with my companies. I said, number 1, when you come here, I want you to use my South Carolina small businesses to do your business. And I want you to at least interview my South Carolinians. Of everybody they interviewed, 97% were hired.
Wow.
And when I left, we were building planes with Boeing, more BMWs than any place in the world. We brought in Mercedes-Benz, Volvo, 5 international tire companies. They were referring to us as the beast of the Southeast, which I still love.
It's a great day in South Carolina,
It is
right?
a great day in South Carolina.
I love that.
That is so true.
I love that signature line that you came up with.
But is it better barbecue than North Carolina smug?
Absolutely.
So that's
it's better
controversial.
barbecue.
It's delicious. The
Is
mustard
it
base
controversial? Is it controversial, really?
No,
You're being politically correct right now. You know South Carolina
till
barbecue
the day I
is
die,
better.
vinegar based for me beats mustard based. Mustard based is great. It's terrific barbecue.
Have you tried ketchup based?
I have not. In South Carolina, I've only tried the mustard based.
Yes, there is ketchup based.
I'll give that a shot.
You have
I'm looking forward to going
You
to
have
South
not
Carolina.
lived until you try ketchup based.
I've triggered something here.
That was well done.
I'm looking forward to
That
because
was well
we're going to
done.
be throughout the presidential cycle. We'll be going to various states, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to knock that off my list.
Yeah, if you want to get
Based.
Nikki Haley to fight, you just bring up the food and the barbecue.
You got to let me know where you're going, and I got to tell you which barbecue place to go to.
I got to say, my favorite thing I ever ate in South Carolina was from this convenience store around the corner on Folly Beach. They make this. It's not like pimento cheese dip, but it's called White Lightning. Have you heard of this stuff?
The pimento cheese is
It's like
excellent.
white cheddar and jalapeno, and it's sort of like a pimento cheese. My wife still talks about that. I tried to recreate it, and she was like, "This is disgusting."
No, just come back and visit. Just come back and visit.
I love it. Well, one of the remarkable things about your career is obviously what you just talked about is a ton of domestic accomplishments, right? In-state economic growth, all that. I think the results sort of speak for themselves. Then you go to the UN, and you have this whole international footprint, which, again, I think you made reference to it. Immediately after your appointment, everybody's saying, wow, Nikki Haley, what does she know? What does she know about foreign policy? She doesn't know any of these world leaders. And so you're stuck in the middle of this.
I love being underestimated. It's always fun.
Yeah, I mean, I got to imagine you take some pride in it, especially when you
do.
get these stodgy old guys telling you, like, you know, this is the way foreign policy works.
Oh, it's why I'm scrappy. It really is. It's why I'm scrappy. But, you know, I went into the UN. I purposely didn't learn the do's and don'ts of the UN. I wanted to go in with fresh eyes. What I did do is I made sure that those countries knew what America was for and what we were against. I didn't care if they didn't like me, but I wanted them to respect America. And that was really the main part of what I did. And I said, you know, if you're trying to stab us in the back, we're going to be taking names, but we're going to have the backs of our allies. And we did that. And we did. We took the kick me sign off of our back. And, you know, one of the things that that really kind of I brought to light was after that vote on moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, there were 126 countries that voted against us. And I went to my office and I said, I want to do a book. I want to list all 193 countries. I want the second column to be the percentage of times they vote with us and against us. And I want the third column to be how much foreign aid we give them. And I took that book and I gave it to President Trump, and he lost his mind. He's flipping pages, yelling out countries. And I said, look, I'm not saying you give foreign aid based on a percentage vote at the UN.
But it's
But
something
I'm
you got to
saying
think
at
about.
some point, why don't we get smart? Why are you giving money to countries that hate America? Stop doing it. We gave $46 billion in foreign aid last year. You're giving it. Do you know you're giving money to China on the environment? You're giving money to Pakistan that harbored terrorists that tried to kill our soldiers.
Incredible.
Iraq, where they have Iranian, proxies that are causing terrorism. Communist Cuba, we said they were a state sponsor of terror, but you're giving them money. I mean, Zimbabwe, who's the most anti-American country, you can't buy friends. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
Instead, use that money. Help your allies if you have to. It has to be a win-win situation. But America's been on autopilot for so long that they've forgotten what common sense is. Think how weak we look in the eyes of the world when we are giving money to countries that hate us.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I mean, look, I saw your op-ed in the New York Post, and I think that was really well said. You know, the complexities of foreign policy, which you now innately understand, that I think is lost on a lot of people, is, look, I think if you don't deal with it at all, the knee-jerk is why send money to anybody at all, right? Oftentimes, what we do with foreign investment prevents a boots-on-the-ground situation or prevents putting Americans or our allies in harm's way. But your point, which is I think a really good one, what are we getting out of this? Mm-hmm. What are we getting out of this? Are these people actually helping us?
Know who your friends are. Help your friends.
Right.
But know who your enemies are and hold them to account.
Yeah. No, look, it was very well said. And I that is a discussion that I think has been bumper stickered too often at a presidential level, where you've got one point of view that's like, just isolate and let's not talk about it and the ramifications. And then the other point of view is kind of a neocon view, which is we fund everything. And you and others seem to have a more textured view of what we need to do.
Well, I mean, look, if you look at the situation in Ukraine, that's not about Ukraine. That's about freedom. It's a fight we have to win. Mm-hmm. And if we win it, you're telling China, Russia, Iran, don't mess with anybody. If we lose it, you're talking about a world war. Because you got to believe dictators when they say something. President Xi said he was going to take Hong Kong. He did it. Russia said they were going to go into Ukraine. We've watched it. China said Taiwan's next. We better believe them. Yeah. Russia said Poland and the Baltics are next. If we don't prevent what's happening in Ukraine, there is going to be a worse war later. And this is about preventing wars. This is about our national security. This is about protecting Americans. And the best way you protect Americans is when you defend freedom-loving countries along with our alliances, and you make sure that your enemies know exactly what you expect.
See, this is one of the things that makes me excited about your candidacy, because you innately understand this, probably because you spent a lot of time at the UN dealing with all these people. But when Xi and Putin have an alliance, it's not a show. It's not just to be friends. There's a communication there.
They were telling the world, prior to the invasion, they were telling the world, we are unlimited partners. Mm-hmm. And I know from the United Nations, every word means something. Every action means something. So now Russia and China are saying they're unlimited partners and Iran is their junior partner. Yeah. If you don't see that as the axis of evil, if we don't get our act together and realize what they're trying to do, we will lose everything that we know as freedom-loving countries. So the West has to come together. Even Saudi Arabia gave $400 million to Ukraine. They see it.
Right.
We have to start looking at these countries and aligning with them and saying, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let's do this and be strategic. And I wish Biden wasn't so slow to the take.
It's incredible.
I think that is a significant point. Is I don't even think we'd be having this conflict right now if Joe Biden were not in office.
You're
think
exactly
they've shown
right.
such weakness on the world stage, and it's been seen as an opportunity by countries that want to harm us.
But think, it started with Obama.
In Crimea.
The whole invasion with Crimea, that's where it started, and that's where Putin thought, I think I can do this. And then you go fast forward to Biden, and look, as the wife of someone who deployed in Afghanistan, the idea that we left Bagram Air Force Base in the middle of the night without telling our allies who stood shoulder to shoulder with us for decades because we asked them to be there. Think about how our friends felt. More importantly, think about the green light you just gave every enemy. It was the worst thing. And now, I never thought in my lifetime that the American people would look to the sky and see a Chinese spy balloon.
Incredible.
It is a national embarrassment.
It is.
And we are sitting like just an open field for anybody to shoot at us if they want to. We've got to get our act together.
Yeah, totally.
We look so distracted, and when America's distracted, the world is less safe.
I totally agree. One more foreign policy question for you, because there was news this week about uranium enrichment in Iran, and that they are now pretty darn close to having weapons-grade uranium. What do we do? I mean, this dates back prior to your tenure with the Obama administration and that just ridiculous deal that they did with Iran. But now, obviously, it's just like Katie bar the door.
I mean, quit sitting around. They need to be in a room with Israel, who's already looking to do something, but also with the Arab countries. Mm-hmm. The Arab countries don't want Iran to get a bomb. The one thing you do is you get together and say, what's our strategy? What do we know? Pull the intelligence together of all of us. Let's look at what they've got. We cannot let them get a bomb. This is a terrorist organization that says death to America.
Right.
And I mean, if ever there was a time you need to get a strategy and alliance together, it's now.
Yeah.
Don't wait for them to do something. Do it now. That's what Biden and Obama both did. They reacted. but they didn't get in front of a situation.
You don't think
And
the pallets of
number one-
cash did the trick?
It's funny. I used to say that we sent a plane full of money, and they fact-checked me and said I was wrong because it was planes full of money.
Amazing.
You can't advertise. It's fact check false. It's just, I love it. That's incredible. All right, let's go. One thing I want to know. I'm not going to do a lot of palace intrigue in the Trump administration, but there is one thing that I've been dying to get a candid answer for, because I read Pompeo's book and he was on here and he had the whole thing about it was kind of a soft allegation that you were trying to replace Pence on the ticket. I've heard your answer on that. I think everybody's heard your answer on that. What I'm trying to get at is, why do you and Pompeo not get along? Or why does he not get along with? There's a bunch of things that I inherently understand about different people in that administration and why they don't like each other. This one's hard for me.
Okay, so first of all, Pompeo wrote about something he heard from someone else. Can we just start there?
Many people are saying. He learned from the best.
So, and I'm just going to leave it at that because I think that says all you need to know. The second thing I'll tell you is, look, I was a damn good UN ambassador, and every Secretary of State hated it.
And that's, there is some inherent tension in having a UN ambassador.
I specifically, when I asked for the job, I said, I don't want to work for anyone else. I want to work directly with you. And President Trump said, got it. And I said, I'm a policy girl. I want to be on the National Security Council, so I'm in the room when decisions are made. He said, done. And I said, I'm not going to be a wallflower or a talking head. I need to be able to say what I think. And he said, Nikki, that's exactly why I want you to do this. And he was true to his word from the first day to the last day. When I saw a negotiation could happen, I'd pick up the phone and call him and say, I think I can do this. Are you good? He'd say, go with it. He trusted me.
Yeah.
And he trusted me because he knew if he was doing something right, I rallied, I supported, I made sure America looked strong. And if he was doing something wrong, I called him and said, you can't do this, but instead you could do X, Y, or Z. And he respected me for that. But the secretaries of state didn't, because I went in there and I got my job done and I didn't need them to do it.
Yeah. It's Tillerson too, right?
Yep.
He had a tough tenure, though. I'm not going to ask you to bash Rex. I think he's had enough. All right, so now you're traveling the country. Candidate for President of the United States. You're meeting all kinds of new people. How's the experience going so far?
It's so great. I mean, first of all, to have thousands of people show up at the announcement. As a former governor, it was heartwarming to see that people loved and appreciated what I had done and they want to see me go further. Then we went to New Hampshire and Iowa. It was standing room only. Hundreds of people showed up, overflow rooms. It was great. I mean, the momentum is there. The strength is there. The feeling I got, because the three states are very different. But the feeling overwhelmingly is they want a better option than Biden and Trump. They want something different. They do like the generational change. They do want a new direction. And they want someone tough that's going to go in there and get it done. And so, our goal is to keep this momentum going. I'll be at CPAC tomorrow. I'll be at Club for Growth on Saturday. I'll be in Iowa next week.
Yeah,
and
you got a schedule.
That is scheduled.
You can't outwork me. I mean, because I'm that passionate.
Yeah.
I'm that passionate about saying that America deserves better, our kids deserve better, and I'm going to go prove it.
Well, and this is one of the things that I think a lot of our listeners maybe don't know about you is that after you left office, you spent an inordinate amount of time traveling the country helping Republican candidates.
We were the number one surrogate raising money for candidates.
It's 100%. I can say that it's 100% true because I worked with your team in a number of these states, and you were incredible. You and your team were amazing at going in and campaigning like crazy for candidates all around the country. I imagine that now as you're launching a presidential campaign gives you a half step ahead of where you would be if you just started now, right?
I think the half step ahead was I got to be on the ground with people. I got to hear what they were saying. And I also got to look at the midterms and see what went wrong, right? I mean, you look at it and it was pretty clear. I mean, the Democrats outraised the Republicans again, right? The second thing is you saw that we've got to stop this ridiculous thing that you can only vote on Election Day. If a state has a legal requirement that allows 2 weeks, why aren't we doing what the Democrats are doing and getting every single person's vote in to make sure that happens? And then finally, in a time where we need to be winning suburban women, independents, we need to get conservative Democrats. It's not that they loved Biden, but guess what they saw when they saw the Republican Party? They saw Republicans hitting each other and the Democrats. Who wanted to be a part of that?
Right.
It was total chaos. So now's the time where we need to just focus on giving American people the solutions. America's been through a lot. And Americans are tired. That was the one takeaway. They're tired of the drama. They're tired of the chaos. And they're tired of everybody jumping on TV saying something and not getting in a room and doing it. We owe it to them to give them something they can feel good about.
Well, it's a compelling message, I'll be honest. I got 3 big questions for you, though.
Okay, I'm ready.
I mean, these are the ones that everybody pays attention to, right? So, like, this is
So
all
none of the others
This
matter.
has all been fun.
So everything I just did didn't matter.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying these ones are super important.
So they're going to fast forward through the first part, and it's really about these. All right.
Well, you kind of touched on this a little bit. I imagine I know where you're going, but if you can plan your last meal on Earth, what would it be?
Good question. Unlimited French fries,
I like that you start with the
unlimited
side.
chocolate chip cookies,
Okay.
and all the pink champagne I could drink.
That's so
That's a pretty good pick.
A side dessert and champagne. I love that. I think that's definitely a first.
That's going out in style.
Yeah. We've done like 180, 190 interviews. That's unique.
No pink champagne for anybody else?
I think the pink champagne that's a Nikki Haley special right there. All right. So if you never got into this line of work, and I know you got a ton of interests, right? I mean, you could tell by your role as governor, what you did in the UN. I mean, you're not somebody who just sort of like sits on the couch, obviously. But if you never got into this line of work and you'd had just kind of a blue sky to do anything with your life and this wasn't it, what do you think you would do?
Be a DJ.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is, I love music. And it is, I have always said that when I grow up, I want to be a DJ. I mean, I listen to music all the time. Before I came and saw you guys, I was listening to Crazy on You by heart. Prior to announcing for presidency, I was listening to Ozzy Osbourne and Post Malone. I love music, all kinds of music. And that would be my dream job.
Well, Michael's a singer. So, I mean, I don't know if do you want to get some heart?
Maybe we could
A stanza or two?
Maybe we could collab.
I mean, you could be my commercial break.
Yeah, you get on the 1s and 2s, and I'll do all the vocals.
This sounds like a deal. We could figure out how to go on the road.
They love embarrassing me, so
Yeah.
good work. We could do it at Iowa. We could do it at the State Fair.
We could do it at the state fair.
Yeah.
Are you going to the state fair this year, you think?
I guess I'm going to the state fair.
Excellent.
Nice.
Excellent.
But no singing for me. I've always said, even with karaoke, I've always said, if you see me doing karaoke, take me home. Take me home. Something is very wrong.
That should be a standard rule from everybody, but it's not.
It's not.
Particularly the variety program.
Yeah.
All right, so our last question, and this is a little esoteric. You may have heard it before, but our view is that almost every successful person on the planet is motivated by one of two things: the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat. And it's not that anyone enjoys defeat or anybody doesn't like winning. It's what motivates you, right? And you can think about this in terms of like Michael Jordan is the typical agony of defeat person. Like, he doesn't even really like winning, right? I mean, it takes like 5 seconds of his day to appreciate it, and then he goes back to whatever slight he had in his past that sort of motivates him to keep going. Thrill of victory person is always the sort of sunny optimist charging up the hill. We can get the next accomplishment, and they're just sort of self-motivated with that. On that sort of spectrum, where do you think you find yourself?
Agony of defeat. Hands down. I don't lose. I've never lost. And I don't think I'd be good at it. It is absolutely making sure if you throw your hat in something, you do it to win. There is no other option.
I could have guessed this. I could have guessed this.
Outstanding answer.
I'm pretty much an open book on that.
Yeah, that one, it seemed.
You look at my career, I've been scrappy all my life. It's all about agony of defeat.
Right, it's like what Chris Christie said. Remember, he came on the show and he's like, I mean, the events are great and meeting the people is great, but ultimately to run for president, when you're in a hotel in Des Moines and it's 5 a.m. and you got to get out of the rack, like, you got to be motivated. You got to be motivated.
You got to find something to do. Well, I have no question about your motivation. That's unquestioned. I got a curveball question.
Sure.
We've never asked anybody this. We've had a lot of talk about animal fighting on this particular program.
We're more of an animal fighting podcast than a political podcast.
Almost
at this
more
point.
now.
Like cockfighting?
Well, not necessarily like, sure, I mean, that's included, but this all started years ago when Smug indicated to us that he thought he could take down a full-grown horse.
There was a study, or not study, it was a poll done globally of what's the largest animal you could probably beat in a fight.
Yeah.
And the British famously, I think the largest they thought they could do is like a pigeon. Like,
like a rat.
Did not have much confidence.
Yeah, no wonder they lost their empire.
Yeah.
So this is like an ongoing discussion, and not every guest we think has a sense of humor to deal with this, but I feel like you do. What kind of animal do you think you could take down? A big animal? Like, what animal do you think you could take?
Yeah, largest animal you think you could take
I think
down.
I could take on the biggest elephant I've ever seen.
Yes.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yes. And it's strategy? I mean, do you just like hop on the elephant and take it down? Or you like grab a hoof? Are they hoofs?
They're
feet.
They're feet.
They're feet.
They're not hoofs.
No.
They're feet.
I think you can scare one, though, right? Maybe in the...
Oh, they scare.
They can be aggressive, though.
Yeah.
Like, elephants are tough and strong and aggressive, but if you show toughness with toughness, you can get them to cower.
Wow.
I love it.
Great answer.
It sounds like she like knows this from experience.
She's got like ivory tusks all over her.
No comment.
I love it. Nikki Haley, where can our listeners find you and your campaign if they want to help out, volunteer, be a part of it?
I mean, look, the first thing I'll say is there are a lot of people who sit there and complain about where we are and what we're doing. And I'm going to tell you what my parents always said, which is don't complain about it, do something about it. But they all want to talk about what their options are going to be in the general election. And what I'm going to tell you is don't complain in the general election if you don't play in this primary. Mm-hmm. This is the chance to actually do something real. This is the chance to actually do something good. We've got momentum on our side. I'm going to win this. And if you get on early, you're going to look like a star. And if you get on late, we're going to love you anyway. But everybody needs to go to NikkiHaley.com, join our movement, and you can see that, I mean, truly, America's best days are ahead of us. I have faith. I know we're going to do this.
This has been a blast. Thank you so much for coming in here.
Thank
we're
you.
going to see you out in the field, too. We're going to come hang out with your team. We're going to do more of this. So.
I mean, Smug, bring your horse. You can sing like with karaoke.
And everybody was on their best behavior here for you, too.
We really tried.
I got to tell you, it's not always this good.
I appreciate that.
Nikki Haley, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks so much.
She did not disappoint.
Nope. She came in totally ready for this. She's obviously listened to the program before, and we know she's got a lot of staffers there that are good friends of the program and have been for years. Look, she's a tough out, man. I know there's a lot of people who think that they can quickly categorize all of these candidates into one lane or another and sort of either account or discount their prospects in winning something. I don't know. The longer you give people like that a microphone and a tougher look, I think there's more texture that's coming to this race. Don't you guys?
Yeah, and also I have to give so much credit because she announced she's running. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone who's not in yet, just get in already. What are you folks waiting for? A lot of kudos to her for having the courage, because the thing is, once you announce, there's going to be shots fired. Everyone's going to be gunning for you. That's when you're actually in the ring. You're in the arena. You're fighting. And meanwhile, from everything we're being told is that this is going to be a massive field. There's so many people weighing whether they're going to run. Get in the ring.
Yeah.
Get in the ring and fight. She did it. Kudos to her.
Oh, I know. And she's ready to fight, too. I think she's actually probably at her best when she's in the fight. And she's clearly in the fight now. So we'll keep a close eye on her, and we'll welcome more here as the days go by.
So, absolute banger of an episode, if I may say so myself, gentlemen. Thank you so much to Nikki Haley for being the first presidential candidate to visit for our series. And thank you to our listeners. So, until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Thursday. Stay ruthless.